It's been an interesting year for Google recently. They made an AI called Bard and then quickly changed that name to Gemini, which honestly, thank God for that. If we as a species got wiped out by an AI called Bard, I would just be disappointed with us. But if Sir Gemini, son of Google, took me out, I'd be okay with it. Jokes aside, Google's a company that sells ad slots. Although they do dabble in some product stuff, some software stuff, and a bit of stuff on the cloud, they are mostly an advertising company. It's kind of like me and the YouTube channel. They do that stuff on the side. The top and bottom line for this year was $307 billion, and for profit, $74 billion. If we're gonna break it down by sector, the category called Google Search and Other is $175 billion. This is basically all the stuff from all the ads on google.com, like when you search, all the ads on Google Maps, the Play Store, etc. By the way, it does not include YouTube. YouTube alone is $32 billion, and I don't think I have to explain that because you're watching on YouTube, so you probably know how it works. Google Network Properties is basically all the ads that you see on websites that are affiliated with Google, and also all the in-game ads that you see that are affiliated with Google. That's worth around $31 billion. That's 3/4 of their revenue. So as you can see, Google is mainly an ad company. It dabbles in stuff on the side, but ads is where its bread is buttered. One of the big categories of non-advertising revenue is Google subscriptions, platforms, and services. It's worth around $35 billion and is basically the Pixel family, the YouTube TV subscriptions, not the advertising revenue, and also Google One, among other things. $33 billion is Google Cloud. That's basically all their server stuff, the stuff that they sell to businesses, and Google Workspaces. There's a little bit more, but it's negligible. When it comes to ads, Google is the king. You can't really compare them to any other company really, because they are the top dog. So I'm just going to compare them to some other big tech companies, because why not? When looking at these, you can kind of see that Google's about in the middle of the pack. Although Amazon is like way higher in terms of revenue, it is a retailer, so take that into account. When it comes to profit margins, Google's at 24%, and it's kind of just in line with the rest of the big tech companies, apart from Amazon, but I already talked about that before. Initially, it just started to rise, but then the pandemic happened and it just took a slight dip. But then, since we're inside, we have to use the internet, so the stock rose pretty substantially during the pandemic. While the pandemic was cooling off, the stock started to start dipping back down. Gemini was introduced. That may be a potential future overlord, so treat them nicely. And then after layoffs happened right about here, and that's where we're at now. Can't believe I just completely forgot to record this, but it's me from the edit here, and as you can see for the revenue, it's pretty steady over the few years, for the past 5 years, and the income is also pretty steady, but then it just has a little dip in 2022, but overall it's going in the right direction. With regards to revenue and other items on the income statement and the balance sheet, there's nothing that just grew exponentially to take note of. Everything was pretty steady, either up or down, but most of the things were trending upwards, so it's a pretty good year. The same thing really goes for the geographic location of all of its profits. Now, let's take a look at Google from a more macro lens. I'll do you a favor and not drown you in numbers. So, let's start off with some of the strengths. First of all, ads. Google dominates that category. Ads are a big part of Google's strengths, and I can't really see it going away anytime soon. Google devices and Android software is also very popular, although not in the US, but pretty much everywhere else in the world. That's the foundation of phones and all the other stuff. AI. While Lord Gemini is not as good at OpenAI's ChatGPT, it is a real competitor. Google also has a very robust server network and some pretty strong cybersecurity. I mean, I haven't really heard of anything major going on with them. Google Workspace is some of the best stuff. I mean, Gmail, Docs, Slides, Sheets, very useful things. Also, for free streaming for videos, YouTube is top tier. They have no real competitor. Like, come on. Now, let's get into some of the negatives. First of all, Google might be facing strong competition from Bing. And you may be saying, Bing, really Bing? But here's the thing. Bing now has ChatGPT. And remember, Internet Explorer used to be 95% of the market share. Now it's dead. So, it's a thing. It could happen. It could one day just take over and destroy Chrome. Other AIs. ChatGPT. Alexa, Siri. Now, I take that back. Siri is not a competitor to Google. I mean, let's keep it a buck. It would be war crime for me to compare Siri to Gemini or even the Google Assistant. Although I have heard rumors that Google and Apple are maybe working together for some stuff, so who knows? Samsung and Apple are just always putting out new phones, and let's just be honest, these are just so much better. And also, keep in mind that Google's revenue is 3/4 ads. So as long as that isn't really affected, Google's probably okay. Google also says they're working on stuff in the healthcare, climate change, and transport sectors, although Google is known for killing projects all the time, so just don't put too much weight and hope into that. I don't know if you guys know this, but they are investing heavily into AI. I mean, if you can just ask an AI to recommend you a product, do you need advertising? They classified it as a code red, so that's definitely going to be one of the priorities in a little while. Google has been called a monopoly for a long time now. The main people who call them that are the EU, the US, and some other governments, although mainly the EU, because they're on their case all the time. They mostly have to pay fines, but who knows, at a certain point, it could get worse. These are mainly just threats to all the big tech companies. There have been allegations of monopolistic practices for a long time now. So they could be forcing companies to eventually maybe sell off a couple of departments or something similar. Although to be fair, the last major breakup was AT&T around 40 years ago. There is pressure that's just rising from groups and people asking Google to either stop or just slow down their research on AI, and that could develop into a situation. AI regulation is coming. We have no idea what it's going to look like, but AI regulation is going to come. It is coming. AI regulation is going to come. Don't doubt that. Tech does move fast, so there's always going to be a possibility of a new company just coming in and destroying Google. One more thing, cybersecurity. That's been a thing, and that's going to continue to be a thing. If Google gets hacked, that could lead to a loss of trust and also lawsuits. Now then, let's look at some of the PE ratios. What, did you think I was going to be done with numbers? Google's PE ratio hovers around the mid-20s. Think of it as price per pound, or how much money you're going to pay per dollar of profit. In comparison to others, Google's is not that insane. Keep in mind though, the PE ratio is only a measure of the past. It is the current stock price divided by the past earnings. So inherently, it's a backward-looking metric. Although nobody knows what's going to happen even a month from now in the future, so just use it with caution. Now, let's see what Google's CEO was doing with his shares. As you can see, he is selling pretty often. Starting from December 23rd, he has sold 203,000 shares. Although hold your horses right now, because from the year 2019 to 2022, he received 2.2 million shares as part of his compensation. By the way, not $2.2 million, 2.2 million shares. As of April 12th, he still has over 3 million shares, and just to put that into perspective, that's just under $500 million. Sundar Pichai is very much still Team Google. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, although I don't even think you're gonna watch this. Stocks, a little bit of science, mostly gambling. Let me know what you guys want to see down below in the comments, and peace, people.